Please, when we are waiting for the technique, if I would like to make a list. So raise your arm and when you want to speak after Elmar.
Yeah,
here we go.
There it is. Can be as easy as that. Good morning, everyone. I will do the presentation in English, if you don't mind. I can speak German too, but one language is enough.
Still, please.
Yeah, I will use the microphone. Yes. I don't really like using microphones, but that's all right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. So, good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to say a word here as well. I hope it will really keep working. Yeah, there. So yeah, my name is Elmer van Buren, I'm from the Netherlands, and I represent here Train2U, which is a foundation in the Netherlands that tries to improve international trains. And I would like to give you a short update on the state of affairs in the Netherlands regarding night trains. Also, apart from being the chairman of the Train2U Foundation, I am employed with Royal Haskonen DHV, which is an engineering consultancy in the Netherlands. Just wanted to mention that because I have two hats on my head at least. So yeah, Train2U, just very short, we are improving international trains and this is the way we do it. If you want to find more information, you can also just Google us or ask me in the break. I will try to keep it a bit short. Yeah, to start with the good news, the sleeper is returning to the Netherlands. Timetable 2021, as was announced. And there will be an Amsterdam-Munich-Vienna sleeper train. This is a decision that was taken because the Netherlands government finds it important to have more people take the train for their international journeys. And it will be an experiment for the duration of 3 years. There's a lot of technical talk on there, but basically it means that the Netherlands government will also, if it's needed, support this operation if there will be a deficit with a maximum amount of 6.7 million euros. Of course, there was some opposition against that. But yeah, they find it important, so this will be done, and it can be done under the mainline concession in the Netherlands. So the mainline concession for the Dutch railways leaves some room for the Netherlands railways to talk with other parties, to start cooperations for night trains or other international trains, and it also leaves room under the law for public transport to grant subsidy for that. But beware, it's not a guaranteed subsidy, it's only in case of deficit. So if there is an operational deficit under the experiment for the duration of 3 years, this will be supported. So what does that mean? That means that from timetable 2021 we will have a night train again Amsterdam-Munich-Vienna, which I think is really good news. And what is also said is that it is expected that more trains will follow, but not earlier than 2023, 2024. And this is why the Netherlands government has decided, fueled upon actually by the Netherlands Parliament, because there was a decision in the Parliament that the minister has to take care of this. Now there is also something else going on, because the ministry has also commissioned a market exploration, which was carried out by our colleagues of Rebel Group. And the market exploration was done to see if there is more appetite for introducing night trains to the Netherlands and what needs to be done to make sure that this happens, actually. And it shows that 3 to 4 operators would be interested and capable to do so, but earliest they expressed in 2023, 2024. They are driven, of course, by revenue potential, which I think is a very healthy thing for a company. And the most obvious ones to start with would be Amsterdam-Zurich, for instance, which is a very obvious train that was also very successful in the City-Maritime era. The main barriers they identified for train operating companies to introduce night trains are access to rolling stock, especially second-hand rolling stock is very short supply. Too little access to financing. If you are a new company wanting to introduce these kind of services and you don't have a proven track record, it's very hard to get finance. No full access to the market, so no access especially to offline sales channels like ticket windows, because they are managed by incumbent operators. And so there is actually no real open access. You can get the path if you want, you can get the capacity on the train line, but can you also freely sell tickets? Can you get free access to travel information channels? Can you get free access to the stations? Can you open your own ticket window there? These kind of questions, if that will be taken care of, then we will have full open access. So during the market exploration for which we were also consulted, only NS and ÖBB expressed that they can actually introduce a new train service on the very short term. This is not the optimal service because it's basically an extension of the Düsseldorf service, so it means that it's leaving rather early from the Netherlands and it's arriving in Vienna only around 10 because they want to go via Munich, as I understood. So it's not an optimal service. And one of the disadvantages of this introduction is basically that there's maybe less of an incentive to introduce an optimal service to the Netherlands later on. But that yet has to be seen. First, we are happy that it's coming back. Now, what did Rebel Group recommend? They said you have to take measures to improve the revenue potential for operators. That basically means driving down costs so that revenue can also mean a gain for the operator. Create that full open access, make sure that you can really access every kind of aspect that you need to operate the train and to also sell the tickets. Stimulate or take steps actually in the creation of a rolling stock company. Roscoe is a rolling stock company. That means a company that actually invests in the rolling stock so that an operator can then rent the rolling stock to operate the train, which means that they don't need to look for financing themselves, which is for beginning operators a very big advantage. Organize proper governance if you would want to have a concession model, but a concession model is very unlikely because this is an international service, so it's not really possible to operate a concession because you cannot give an exclusive right to operate a train on an international line. It's not allowed. And if there would be, that is what Rebel said, if there would now be a very big appetite for a quick reintroduction, then make sure that you create some kind of subsidy. And this is exactly what the ministry did. You can just wonder if it was really non-discriminatory because it was under the mainline concession, and the mainline concession, of course, belongs only to NS and to no one else. So it was not like a subsidy program was put on the market and openly accessible to everyone. But well, given the positive news, I think it's reasonable to do this. What will be the continuation of the process with the ministry? So the objective is that 2 million more people per year take trains for international journeys. This means more sleeper trains are wanted. The scientific institution of the ministry has already said that maybe there were other destinations that will be interesting, like Scandinavia, Copenhagen, Malmö, Prague, Warsaw, Milan, Barcelona. So yeah, who knows? So they are really aiming at the travel distances that are bigger than 750 kilometers, which is for the high-speed trains. They're saying night trains could help for a distance of 1,200 kilometers, or 1,000 or 1,200. 2 tracks, parallel approach. The first track is the pilot, which is now going to run with the Amsterdam-Vienna train from 2021. And the track 2 will be to speak with other interested parties and to see what needs to be implemented in the meantime so that they can start maybe operating in 2024 or 2023. Now, I'm going really fast, so, but I will do that because I don't want to speak too long. Another thing that has been happening in the Netherlands is that we actually realized that we do not have much knowledge about the willingness of people to take the sleeper train. Of course, we have all kinds of assumptions and we are ourselves fans of sleeper trains, but that is not a really stable basis for any development. So we wanted to get more insight into the willingness of people to take the sleeper train. And the consultancy that I also happen to work for commissioned research by a master's student of the Technical University of Delft, and we asked him to investigate this matter. He compared the sleeper as an opportunity to taking an evening plane or a morning plane. He said, what is the basic target group is people who want to be somewhere in the morning, and what they have to do now is to take an evening train or evening plane or a morning plane to get there. And what would they do if they would have a sleeper train? He did some literature study, had a focus group, and he did a stated preference research, which is something else than revealed preference. I don't want to go too deep into that because it's very scientific, but basically it means people say they will do it, but they haven't shown that they will do it yet, because there is no sleeper train. It's very simple, but it's important for scientists to say that they have only said they will. There were 800 respondents, which is really, really good. But that was because he used the customer panel of the Dutch Railways. He had access to that. He got access to that, which also means that maybe there was a little bit of bias in the respondents, because of course these are people who use trains a lot. So that has to be taken into account, but still it's nice. He looked into the trip time, the cost, and the perceived comfort. And that perceived comfort is very important because it was, he said it's difficult to establish what people find important in sleeper trains because everyone has a different perception of what is comfort. So he looked into what kind of accommodation type in the train, what kind of number of persons in the compartment, between 2 and 6 he assumed. He didn't look into 1 person per compartment. Is it lockable, the compartment? That is very important for many people. Can I shower? Is there any form of catering in the train? Does it stop a lot during the night? He also looked, of course, at background information of people. And then he first invited people to rate their perceived comfort. So he asked them, what is your opinion on comfort? And then he gave them different scenarios, like if you would have an appointment in the morning and you would be going to Vienna, and you would have to get up in the early morning and take a morning plane. You have to get up at 3 at night and go to the airport. Or you can take the sleeper train. Now the findings, not all of them, but I can later happily provide the public links to the research so that everyone can read the scientific document. Privacy is the most important factor to travelers with sleeper trains, apparently. So the old model of sleeping in 6 persons compartments seems not to be feasible anymore. People want privacy, they want to have a place for themselves to travel. Of course, they also want a good price, so we have to find a balance between the privacy and the price. Comfort comes second and price comes third. Basically, it means that people are actually pretty willing to pay something for the night train. And I think this is also supported by what ÖBB found out, that actually people are willing to pay quite a price for the sleeper train, and the expensive accommodation sells out very fast. That means that he compared a situation where there would be a train with all the luxury, but with shared compartments, and also with less luxury, but with private accommodation, and people favored the latter one. It's interesting. With increasing age, accommodation becomes of less importance, apparently. Business users prefer the evening flight still. Business users are very, very demanding, and I think they demand even more privacy than others. Experienced train users, they prefer the sleeper or the evening flight. No one is a fan of morning flights, actually. That was maybe his biggest find. And yeah, comfort-minded people, sleeper fans, and morning plane haters are thus the most likely to use sleeper trains. Potential market shares he also looked into, and that is quite interesting. If we would reintroduce sleeper trains as is, so the concept that we know basically, the market share could be just under 60%. Well, I think that is also proven by ÖBB, who said, I think, once about the Vienna-Venice route that they have this kind of market share now. Optimized timetable, you could increase the market share to just over 60%, he found, and if there would be new trains with all the perks, then maybe it could go up even as high as approximately 67%. What he also did say is that positioning the night train as low cost is not a good idea, because actually it would drop the market share by 20 to 25%. So night intercity trains with only seating accommodation and very low prices are not the kind of thing that people are really interested in, apparently. There is one thing: if you introduce something new, it could also mean that there will be new demand and it will not substitute flights. Of course, it's important that we substitute the more polluting forms of transportation rather than just create more transportation demand. So we need to do at least both. And so he also recommended that some measures against too low ticket prices for planes would also help. And the focus group also gave him the feedback that it's really important that there will be easy booking and visibility of the offer. I think that is also very well known. If you don't know that something like a night train exists, you will not book it. Yeah, it's very simple, but this is the case at the moment. Now, then I also want to tell something about the plan of Train to You for 2020. We are an organization that has been existing for about 5 years, but we are not so visible because it takes a lot of effort to become visible and it takes a lot of money as well. We have said that we want to be some kind of platform organization, but it's a really hard to fund kind of thing because it's a bit soft and people don't understand that it costs money. So we want to become a bit more concrete. That means that we also want to increase the range in which train can be used. So sleeper trains are an interesting topic for us. And because introducing sleeper trains is much cheaper than creating a pan-European high-speed line network. We have been considering the research findings that I just mentioned, and we thought, how can we fuel the development of sleeper trains more? Could we maybe start up a project, a design contest for sleeper train of the future? And I know that ÖBB has already been redesigning sleeper trains, but in my opinion that is just one operator with one supplier, which is Siemens. And I think it would be good to look into these concepts much more than that. So we are talking with, we're trying to invite industrial design faculties of universities, and we're talking to corporations like Tesla, and we're talking to GoAbout, and we're trying to find more partners to start this kind of project and hopefully run this kind of project in 2020, and maybe at InnoTrans or at a certain other event at the end of 2020 we could provide the first findings already of this contest. So this is basically it for now for my presentation, and this is my contact information, so feel free to send me an email or a WhatsApp or whatever if you want to know more. And if Paul will allow questions, then you can ask questions.
Exactly. Thank you.